Welcome to the Open Jaw Pink Couch. The topic today is expedition cruising, and Thomas, it's such a buzzword lately, but I don't know a lot about the business, and it's changing and evolving and growing, so talk to us about that world.
Yeah, absolutely, Nina. Expedition cruising is definitely going through a metamorphosis right now. It's been around for a long time. I mean, probably the first expedition cruise to the polar regions was over 50 years ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Quark's been doing expedition cruising since 1991. It's almost 3 decades. Actually, our 30th anniversary is next year. But what's happening is the expedition cruising has typically been using older ships, sometimes Russian vessels or science vessels that were built for the polar regions. Sometimes they were old converted ferries. And so there has been a perception that expedition cruising used to be hardcore. But now, expedition cruising is seeing a lot of new hardware coming into the market. So a lot of new ships are being built, including 2 from Quark Expeditions.
I have to tell you, though, if I'm going to go up to the Arctic or the Antarctic,
Yep.
a purpose-built ship, which is an icebreaker, to me, sounds like a very safe place to be. So if now you're building these new ships with all these sort of soft touches
Yep.
for a luxury market, I would imagine,
Yeah.
is the ship still built to the same standards?
Oh, if not even greater standards.
Okay.
So, for sure, for some locations, such as the North Pole, one still is going to need a Russian purpose-built expedition icebreaker.
Okay.
That may not have all the accoutrements and spas and jacuzzis that some of the other vessels may have that go
Right.
to Antarctica or lower parts of the Arctic regions. But the luxury of going on the most powerful icebreaker in the world is A, it's the most powerful icebreaker in the world, and B, you're getting to a region that no one else can get to. So the North Pole, for example, is maybe only 200 people a year can access the North Pole, stand on top of the world, where all directions face south. That's pretty cool.
Wow.
Whereas other ships that Quark has, and then other industry are building towards, are to get to Spitsbergen or to Antarctica, where the ships are still purpose-built. So where there are classifications where they can break ice or navigate through ice, have shallow drafts that allows you to get into really narrow places. And again, the luxury is getting to really hard to get places where weather and ice and wind really dictate your itineraries. There are no ports in between.
But you get to see polar bears.
You get to see polar bears in the Arctic only. Antarctica doesn't have polar bears.
No, it has penguins.
It has penguins, and penguins only in the Antarctica, but not in the Arctic.
God, it's very confusing. But in any case, you get to see them wherever you are. You get to see a really unique, rare species
Yep.
that you don't get to experience other than in one of these trips. So you were mentioning earlier that you think that the expedition cruising business is sort of following a similar curve to where river cruising was 10 years ago. What do you mean by that?
Well, what I mean by that is 10 years ago, if not more, a lot of new river cruising was starting to become popular. A lot of new operators were adding new ships at a rate of speed that a lot of people thought, how are we ever going to fill these ships? Is the demand there? And expedition cruising is going through a similar trend right now, where there's a lot of new entrants coming into the market that have never been to the polar regions before. They may have crews in other parts of the world and are building a ship. And so there's definitely a lot of new hardware being built that some may say, well, how are you going to fill those ships? But the demand for expedition cruising is also increasing exponentially. So,
Are we going to see a similar type of situation where in some port you've got sort of like the river cruising, you might have 5 ships that are docked together because there's a bit of capacity issues on some of the rivers?
yeah, no, I don't think you'll see that.
No.
I mean, in terms of put it this way, all the new ships being built are still only equal to capacity as one Carnival ship. So the number of people are still very small. I mean, these ships are anywhere from 70 to 200 people. Some are being built to 500, which is a different type of experience, which is another subject. But definitely the way we try to schedule expeditions, you schedule it using, I'm going to get into the details here, using a schedule where no one really overlaps in
Right.
certain locations.
Makes
so
sense.
really try to stay away from, it's a really controlled environment, somewhat like the Galapagos.
Okay. How fit and sort of physically active do you have to be on an expedition cruise?
That's a really good question. And the perception is that one needs to be super fit to
Yeah.
go on to an expedition. But generally, the clientele that come to Quark expeditions, they range anywhere from 8 years old all the way up to 98. I mean, that's we've had the whole gamut of everyone in between. The typical person who may join a Quark expedition trip actually has never been on a cruise before, but they may have been on an African safari, they've been to the Galapagos, they've been to Machu Picchu, they've seen the Terracotta Warriors. They're looking for that next
Bucket list?
next bucket list item, or seventh continent. I want to hit the seventh continent. They've been everywhere else. And so for the activities that someone can do, they can be as leisurely as they want. They can just enjoy their time on the ship. But most people also want to go on a Zodiac cruise, get off the ship, go see the penguins that are on the land. And so really you can be as active as you'd like, or you can have as relaxed an experience as you want.
Stay with your champagne and just look off the
Absolutely
balcony.
can do that. Yep.
How are agents engaging with this product? That's the last thing I want you to give me a bit of a sense of.
Yeah, no, the expedition cruising market is definitely growing. More people want to learn about it. It's sometimes difficult to sell a product that you have not visited before. So Quark has a really dedicated team and training program on how to educate about the destinations, first of all, and how to get there. How long does it take to get there? You got to get there. So flying from USA or Canada down to Ushuaia. Where is Ushuaia? I've never heard of it before. Or getting to Spitsbergen to see the polar bears. Okay, that's pretty easy. Get to Iceland, get to Oslo up to Longyearbyen. So you can actually have your breakfast in New York, and then in the afternoon you actually be in the Arctic. So it's actually quite easy to get to, but it's that teaching about the destination. And then after that, it's about teaching agents on how to find clients in your database, in your client roster, who are suitable or that who are the next person that should go to these regions. So, because a lot of people don't think they have clients to go to the Arctic or Antarctica, but in fact, if you've sent someone on African safari, you definitely have someone that wants to go to the Arctic or Antarctica.
Love it. Well, this whole office is ready to go. We're going to have our sales meeting. Done. We can't wait.
Well, glad to have you up there with us.
We'll be there. Thank you so much for telling us all about it.
Thanks, Nina. Thanks for having me.